Hello and welcome. My name is Evgeny Rusakov and you're watching TVP World, interview from Vilnius. Presidential elections in USA will take place on the 5th of November. And one has to admit that the situation around them is just heating up. To discuss the current situation, latest news and some peculiar aspects of the upcoming elections, we are joined today by the Professor of Faculty of Communications at Vilnius University, Andrius Šuminas. Hello, Andrius, and thank you for joining us today.
Hello, it's my pleasure to be here.
Andrius, first of all, what's your take on the current situation regarding the US presidential elections?
Well, it's a very close race, and it's really not clear who is going to be winner in the end of this race. The race is really heating up. Both candidates is really pushing the highest gear and really pushing their campaigns to the limit. And until probably the last minute, we're not going to know who is going to win. Of course, we have some trends which are positive for Kamala Harris, but I wouldn't overestimate those results, because it was exactly the same situation in 2016, that it really looked at that Hillary Clinton going to win, but the final result was completely opposite.
Okay. Can we draw any definite conclusions after the recent debate, or again, is it too early?
It is too early, but of course the first and looks like the only one debate had really high importance in an election campaign, because it was first face-to-face meeting of Trump and Harris. Before the debates, usually there are some expectations for both candidates. So from one side we had expectations for Donald Trump that he's going to heavily dominate the debate, that he's going to be this alpha man in the room. And it was, from another side, it was really not clear how Kamala Harris is going to perform, how she's going to answer critique of Donald Trump, how she's going to explain her switches in her positions, and is she's going to look presidential, which was kind of the main question. And after the debate, we can say that Kamala Harris managed to get under Donald Trump's skin. She probably, we can say, and majority of experts, of political scientists agree that Kamala Harris performed better during the debate, and she scored some points during the debate. But again, I wouldn't overestimate the importance of this victory, because the same was in 2016, in 2020, both Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden as well overperformed Donald Trump. But in the end, the result was different.
That is really interesting. I mean, debates now and debates like 50 years ago, those are two totally different debates. What's your take on this?
Absolutely agree with you. Especially from 2016, we kind of started to have completely different type of debates.
Why is that?
Well, politicians really not debating, to be honest. They're just claiming, attacking, and claiming whatever they want. We're not really trying to engage in the real discussions, as it was before, if we look back, like it was real debates about some political specific issues. Nowadays, it's more or less just the straightforward attacks, and even no any signs of real debates, real willingness to debate.
Do you think that really works with voters?
Looks like, and it's a problem. We should talk about bigger picture in here, because American society is extremely polarized, and candidates starting really not to persuade the whole society, but really just to mobilize their own supporters.
Their voters, their supporters.
Yes, and in this case, we really don't care about our side. We just really need to mobilize their own supporters, and that's why we're starting to go more radical, more aggressive, more negative, and we kind of losing this essential background of democracy, which is debates is a part of it without any question.
Okay, so as we've already came to the conclusion that these presidential elections are really tight, and it appears to be that Donald Trump has just suffered another attempt on his life. And most definitely Donald Trump uses this in his presidential campaign, which he does. And how does this affect voters?
Obviously, that he's using those assassination attempts to portray him as a fighter against the system, against the elite. Yeah, that he's the ones who's really trying to fight those systematic elites. and both elites trying just to kill him. Yeah, so he's showing himself as a real fighter, as a real leader. And talking about first attempt, I guess it's really important to note that Donald Trump got the iconic picture. This photo
he
when
did.
he's standing
with his face and blood.
Yes,
that's
screaming,
right.
fight. It's really, really very strong image. And in political communication and political science, you often say that images wins the elections. So it's really interesting going to be to see what the final outcome of the election is going to be. But those images can have some influence on the final results, on the final outcome, and it can really work as a tool for Donald Trump. It helps to show that there are somebody against you, and they're really afraid of you on such a level that they trying to kill you, and those attempts really helps in some cases, especially those images. Yeah, it really helps for Donald Trump to show such a.
That's interesting. That's really interesting, especially when you're mentioning elites, because Donald Trump himself represents elite.
It's true, but politicians usually, especially populist politicians running their campaigns, showing that they are a fighter against the elite. Doesn't matter if they are part of those elites, doesn't matter if they're millionaires themselves, doesn't matter if they have huge businesses and so on and so on.
And it's all about Trump.
Yes, it is. But they're trying to show that he's fighting for regular American middle-class people. And he's trying to make America great again.
Okay. let's go on then. So I took a look at the US map during the last two presidential elections, and I saw an interesting trend. Middle America predominantly voted for Trump, while states on the east and west coasts voted for Democratic candidates. How would you explain this?
Well, this geographical divideness is quite obvious. We have this middle America, which are more rural, more conservative, based on agricultural, manufacturing industries. And usually those states, those people votes more for Republican and for Trump.
Okay.
And coastal areas like East Coast and West Coast.
New York, Los Angeles there, Chicago as well.
San Francisco, Seattle,
exactly.
We can go on and on.
Yes.
We are more urban, more high-tech, more liberal, more climate change orientated and so on. And those ideas are really way better represented in Democrats' campaign. So it's not strange that human rights, which is an important part as well, immigration, another question, which is really important. And those people are way more open, way more liberal, and it's the reason why they're voting for Democrats and in this case, for Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, and this year for Kamala Harris.
But looks like, at some point, Middle America just literally chose for the rest of the United States when Trump was chosen in 2016.
Well, America have very strange election system. First of all, we should start.
Yes, sure.
Which is like trying to balance the importance of different states, and here we have those outcome of such electoral system. But suddenly some states have really high importance during the election campaign, and especially in some specific results of some specific states really can be really decisive in a whole campaign, or in some cases we can have like the total popular vote winner can lose the election, as happened before an election.
You've mentioned states, so this is where I want you to ask about the swing states. How do you explain this factor in general?
There are the states who are always, let's say, loyal or voting for the same party, like they are red states or blue states.
Exactly.
And there are 11 states, so-called swing states, who are really like changing the opinion depends from the election. And in general, the outcome of those 11 or 11 states, because it's a bit changing, some swing states becoming more like regular,
Democratic or Republican.
Yeah, regular states, but outcome of the election in those states are really decisive, talking about the general election. And that's why the main effort, the main campaign really happens in those so-called swing states. Really, if you look how and where the campaigns rally happens, so most attention goes really to those so-called swing states because it's a real battleground. Those swing states are really heterogeneous. There are some big cities like Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, which is really kind of more pro-democratic, but rural areas are more pro-Republican. And the balance is very, very, let's say, equal. And the winner, the ones who are going to mobilize their own supporters in those swing states, usually is the winner of the election.
Another interesting topic regarding the US presidential elections is Donald Trump versus Taylor Swift. How much of an impact will the story between them have on the presidential elections?
Well,
Taylor Swift is a pop star, is a world pop star. So
but she's a mega pop star.
Yes, she is.
She have really enormous audience. Important to say that it's mainly younger people, but we are really huge fans and really following Taylor Swift everywhere. Yeah, she's famous about it. Her tours is really, really famous. Even there is a term Swift economy and so on and so on. She's like such an impact on different things. So here clash with Donald Trump, it's really interesting, and she officially gave her support for Kamala Harris, and now Donald Trump officially stated that he hates Taylor Swift.
Yes, he did. Yes.
But in one hand, it can be very interesting to see what outcome is going to have. It means, is those fans really going to stand up and go and vote during the election day? What is if she's going to mobilize them really to do the real action? Or is it going to stay just some kind of like, what's it called, slacktivism, and the people stating their support on social media, but not doing real action? Okay. There is one thing. Another thing that it's not the first time when Trump clashing with some really mega stars.
Okay.
He had like many clashes with basketball players, with LeBron James, with artists, musicians, like openly really like arguing with them, insulting them. So the same happening with Taylor Swift now. And as we see that those clashes in some ways didn't have any effect on Trump's results. So in here, Donald Trump is real phenomenon.
How would you, in general, explain the phenomenon of Donald Trump?
He's really using this polarization of American society, and he managed to really click with those disappointed people, angry people, and kind of echo their anger in a way of. And he's really just his communication, Is he a strong communicator? He is. I mean, the result shows that he is. I mean, in some cases, it's, according to the theoretical books, he's not doing as he should do. But on the other hand, he have a result. So we can say that, and in political communication, we're talking about the final result.
There's another thing I would like to ask. So Microsoft has recently stated that Kamala Harris' presidential campaign has been targeted by Russian agents. So how seriously should we take this information, and why in general does the Kremlin count so much on Donald Trump?
Well, we should take this information very seriously, and since 2016 US elections, since Brexit referendum, we're hearing that there are some clear attempts to have impact on those elections or referendums. And it's possible to do in different ways. It's possible to use bots. It's possible to create some kind of content. And recently, some RTI, Russian Today employees were catched in the United States when we're trying to hire some people to create video content well, not anti-American,
anti-democratic.
But anti-democratic, exactly. And so it's obviously that Russia really tries to have impact on it. And why? I guess the main reason is these promises of Donald Trump of this peace agreement. And I guess Russia now really would prefer to have some kind of peace agreement to freeze the situation in Ukraine as it is for now. And another thing that Donald Trump is willing to get in contact with dictators, meeting with the leader of North Korea and so on and so on. So again, here is a possibility for Putin to come back on this global level. Exactly. Because otherwise, Kamala Harris would never have any contacts with him, without any doubt.
Okay, Andrius, so I guess we'll see everything after the 5th of November. So thank you so much for joining us today, and I really hope to see you once again.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I would like to remind our viewers that our guest for today was the Professor of Faculty of Communication at Vilnius University, Andrius Šuminas. You're watching TVP World. Stay with us.